Okay. So, selamat pagi and very good morning to all of you. For those who have joined my session last month, I'm sure you are familiar with me. But today's session, we are going to focus more on the in-depth on conducting your dissertation or thesis, how you can use this content from ProQuest platform, or the ProQuest dissertation and thesis to support you throughout your research journey. So that's what we're going to look at today. This is called as a boot camp. So since it's a boot camp, just let it be a more engaging session. Just feel free to ask me question. If you have any question, feel free to post it in the chat panel, because if you notice, the audio is set one way. So if you're not able to unmute your speaker, so just put your question in the chat box. But if you think that you want to share something very important, if you want to speak, please let me know. I can unmute your speaker manually, then you can speak. So, and this session is scheduled for 1 hour. 1.5 hours. So we still have lots of time. And for those who you don't have to worry about the background noises because it's all muted. So don't worry about that. So just let's move on. For those who attended my session, I'm sure you know about myself. So my name is Kurinji Malar, and I'm the customer education trainer for Clarivate. So Clarivate now is known as Clarivate. Previously is ProQuest, so now part of Clarivate, and been in this ProQuest Clarivate for 3.5 years, but been in this industry for more than 15 years. And worked very closely with many of the academic institutions across Southeast Asia. So one of my long-term aspiration is to be impactful and to contribute to the higher education system. So therefore, sharing information with regards to research or research-related information is something very, very close to my heart. And I'm based in Malaysia, yeah. So on my right here, I usually use this quote for most of my training sessions, especially when it comes to research, very research-orientated related research. So you know that when you embark on your research journey, that you need to, you need to think about you're working hard for something you love or you're passionate about. So it will be called as a passion. Otherwise, it can be called as stress. So usually when it comes to selecting your research topic, the research that you want to work with, make sure that you have found the right one that you can work with lots of passion in that particular topic. Yeah. So because it's a long run, so you need to be very passionate about it. Okay. So let's that's a little bit of sharing about myself. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Puan Sharifah for organizing this session. Yeah, so we have been working for some time to organize this session. So I would like to thank her and the team for organizing this session. And for the participants, thank you for your time and welcome to this session. Okay, the objective. So again, any learning session, we need to set our objective. So our objective today is to evaluate some best practices to finding the topics for your research. Because if you are in your early stage of your research journey, so you need to evaluate and see how you can find topics to suit the research topic that you want to embark on, right? So that number one. Number two is when we are writing the dissertation or your project paper, your final year project paper, we want to identify and avoid some of the pitfalls, which is a common pitfalls that we come across. We want to see how you can avoid that. And along this way, there's a lot of ProQuest content as well as features that will supporting you throughout your research journey. So we will see how you can use those content as well as the tools to support your research journey. And lastly, to see how you can have an option publishing your thesis in your internal repository, or if you want to amplify it, or if you want to publish it as an ebook, we will see that as well at the end of the session. And more importantly, this session is aimed at a new research scholar. So new scholars, new new users who are just embarking on your research. But if you are an experienced researcher, if you are in this session, please feel free to share your views, share your experience that you have come across all the way in this session. Yeah, so if you can, you do so. This is a very common question I ask in every of my sessions. So when we ask, this survey was done a couple of years ago. So when we ask the graduate student, what is your top challenges you faced during your research journey or during your academic journey? So one of the question answered is this here. So apparently the top challenge they have is writing their dissertation or thesis. And the challenge number 2 is just finding the job. I think once you have got all this writing the dissertation thesis, let it go, I think finding a job should be a lot more better. To share with you on the research journey. So this, what you see in my screen is just simplified students' research journey. Yeah. Or you can say graduates or undergraduates research journey. So if you look at this slide, it's a very simplified slide. The process is much greater, but I have simplified it such a way just to share with you throughout this journey. You will be working with information. So some of this information that you work with is ProQuest platform as well. So I want to let you know later on. I will show that how it works. So at the very first stage of your research is to look out for, it could be the ideation period. Yeah, so you may be still in the ideation period, looking for inspiration. What research that I should start with. I have a very broad topic in my mind. What topic should I embark on? Is this topic still irrelevant? You know, those kind of ideation phase, or in the proposal page. So whether you are in the ideation or proposal page stage, you still need to do your research start since then. Yeah, so you will start evaluating dissertation. So that's where you will start going into the platform, ProQuest dissertation and thesis, or your internal repositories to find the dissertation and see what other topic has been covered so far, what's the outcome like, what's the limitation of this topic. So how do I take this to the next level? What are the topics in this my department, who have done what, and so on. So there's a lot of evaluation of the dissertation will be going on. At the same time, you will be also evaluating some scholarly articles so that you have an idea of what is the discussion about the topic that you want to embark. So at this point, you may have a couple of topics. You probably have 3, could be a subject, could be a topic. So still in early stage to have not decided. So you explore the ideas, then you see what are the research topics relevant to that subject. This where you will now, when you are reading or evaluating this information, that's where you will start identifying your gaps. So when it's very important for you to justify why that you need to do your research, right? So if you want to put up a proposal and say, yes, I want to do this research because, then you have to say why you want to do this. You need to justify the research. Justifying research is where you already identified the gaps. You probably identified a gap based on the geographical geographical restrictions. Most of the studies, they are concentrated in the US or in the UK or in some other part of the world, but none of the studies are maybe very limited in Southeast Asia or in Malaysia. So you have a point to say, so therefore you want to do this research because there is a gap, there is a need to do the research in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia. So that is, if you're based on the research gap, that is geographical research gap. But in some other in other instances, there's a lack of studies in the geographical, or it can be lack of studies in certain part of the group. So for example, if you read the dissertation or you read the scholarly articles, you will find the population is very concentrated on one part of the population. Can be, the research is done based on just the male or just a female or just the children or adult, so it's very concentrated. So if you want to get a better representation, you want to recommend and say, I want to do this research in a different group member. So you identify a gap again. And you will also identify gaps when you see, okay, this research was done in the past. Somehow there was a limitation in this research because of the limitation, the results could have been different if you have do it differently. So could be a different use of the different way to analyze, could be use of a different sampling or the small sample size. Yeah, so you want to use a wider sample size. All this can be you will identify the gaps along the way when you read the dissertations or the scholarly journals. You will identify the gaps. Once you identify the gaps, that's where you will be able to come up with your research topic and define your topics. That's where you can formulate your research question and put in your proposals. So once you get your approval, then you can go ahead with the actual research, going into the research even more thoroughly to conduct to enhance the literature review and so on. Okay. So now this part here, it may not be applicable to all users. In some instances, there is no need to do the proposal because you are doing the extension of your advisor's project or advisor's research. You're continuing with that, so you may not need. In some instances, you need to say, yes, I want to get funding, so therefore I need to have a proposal to justify my research, to see how significant is my research to the community, how significant is research is to my discipline, and so on. So there are, in some instances, yes, some instances, no. Yeah, so it depends on the situation that your current institution that you're working with. And when you go into the actual research, there are more information that you need to find. You need to identify the theoretical framework, or you need to identify various methodologies used for the data collection. So if you go into scholarly journals, the information about methodologies will be discussed, but in a very limited information, just enough information. But if you look at some of the dissertation and thesis, there is a lengthy discussion about the methodology used. So it is a very good option for you to understand about methodologies when you are evaluating the dissertation. Okay. Then, of course, when it comes to the actual research, or even before the research, you know how to manage and organizing your documents. You know how to search effectively. Literature searching skills are all already in you when it comes to this stage of your research. So when you see that it's actually a loop going up and down. So why I use this is because the research and this writing, they are very closely knitted. That means you cannot say, I finish my research, then I do my writing. Or when I'm writing, I don't have to do research. No such thing, because when these two, it's close to each other, interrelated. That means whenever you have enough materials, you just need to start. So the question is, when do I have enough materials, right? So all of us, we do not know at what stage we have enough materials. I think whenever you have a proposal, you already start writing. For those who do not have a proposal, you need to have frame your writing early. Why that you need to frame your writing early is and plan the schedules. Only then, when you start writing, you will realize that, okay, I have started my writing with my introduction to say why I should do this research, what's my purpose of research, what's my significance of research, and also to have a flow, okay, the how this research is going to be, what is in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. You already have an idea. So if you don't write, if you don't start writing, you do not know where your gap is. You do not know where is, the flows may be not in order because you haven't start writing yet. So with that writing, you will understand the writing here, we are talking about the first draft, the zero draft. Yeah, so you don't have to be perfect, it's just a zero draft, so that you know where is the gap and where you need to do more research and come back and fit the information in your research paper. So these two will be always interrelated, work in a group. research writing, always repeats. So until you complete the research paper. Then once you have completed the research paper, so you, of course, this might be automatically published in your internal repository, or if the institution has partnership with the then can be published in the PQDT content, or you can publish it as ebooks or scholarly journals upon enriching the content, modifying the content to suit the manuscript for publication. Okay, so then of course, so some of you might embark your career into the research related career, or some of you go into the corporate setting, different environment. But whatever that career that you embark on, so your whole research experience will give you a good stand when it comes to going into your research, your career path. Okay, so next one. So this is not new, been there for some time. So if you notice, if you go into your ProQuest dissertation and thesis database, whenever you want to search, in the past, you will have this discovery tips will pop up, but now it is no longer. So if you click on the discovery tips, it will pop up to say, do you want to understand about what is dissertation all about? How do you want to use the dissertation to find your research topic? How do you want to cite the dissertation and so on? So there is a video tutorial will always pop up, or it is embedded in this platform to help students to start with, especially undergraduate students, yeah, because it is not easy to start with all this. This research is not that easy to go through. So to start with, ProQuest has embedded the e-learning for the undergraduates. And for postgraduates, if you want to learn more about dissertation, how you want to use it, apply it in your research, then you have another core modules. We call it the e-learning modules, support the authorship journey. And this is contributed by the expert contributors, Jan Allen from the Graduate School of Cornell University and Ken Helby from Texas Wesleyan University. So this is actually available on the open web. Let me just take you to there. Okay, I'm going to share the link in the chat box. Yeah, hold on. Focus on the chat box. I'm going to send to everybody. So if you click on it, you will come to this accessing to these modules. Yeah. So this module here, getting started on your thesis or dissertation, how to select a topic, what is the process of completing a dissertation and thesis, efficient discovery and research curation, how to perform a basic advanced topic search and research curation tools, and also developing a productive writing plan. All these modules is available to you, and each of this module takes about 20 minutes of your time. That is what I'm going to take you through today. So some of it I have covered in the last session. Yeah, this is the site. If you click on it, if you scroll down, here you go, Dissertation Bootcamp. So if you click on this, and it will take you through, is a tutorial, 20 minutes tutorial to know how to get started on the dissertation and thesis, efficient discovery and research curation. I have covered this in the last session in July. I think I have covered this very in detail, and also developing a productive writing plan. So we will see that shortly. So this is what we're going to go through, but you already have access to the modules which you can watch later. Okay, so this is why we have ProQuest has developed all this content for you, because starting a dissertation writing or thesis writing is not easy. Okay, so along with that, there is also some other aids, tools that you can download. I will come back to that. So this platform is LMS compatible, learning management system compatible, and can be used as part of the graduate, or you can use this as a learning tools for you to start your research with your dissertation or thesis. So there are learning aid and tools also embedded. So if you go to the on the top here, on the top of the page, you see learning aids. So you can download some of these beginners research quick start guide, or if you want to develop a strategic plan, so you can also download that kind of tools and resources from this platform. Okay. So that is why you now have access to ProQuest Dissertation and Thesis Global. So remember, one of the first step, if you want to define your research topic, to explore more literature. So one of the literatures recommended to explore is the dissertation and thesis, so that you have an idea what topic has been done, how is the topic has been how the research has been conducted, what are the gaps in this research, what methodology have they used. So it's an example. So with having access to your ProQuest Dissertation and Thesis Global, you are exposed to more than 5 million records, 5 million dissertation and theses, with about 3 million comes in full text. Yeah. And these are contribution across universities across the world, more 4,100 universities, 4.1K universities, contributors across the world, and annually more than 200,000 papers is being added in this collection. So what it means to you is the papers can be either added from for the past 10 years, or it can be the moving forward beyond 2023 and beyond. So that means you get access to the historical information as well as the current trend on your research. So you can stay updated with some new development in research. Okay, and the coverage goes back from 1637. So what is that? What is that for you? I think I have covered some of this in the previous section, but just to reiterate, so that means you are having access to the world of cutting edge research that is done by students and scholars across the world. So with having that, you are now exposed to in-depth scholarly examples. That means you have the examples right in front of you. If you know how to find the right information, the right journals, or the right dissertation and thesis, you can expand further from there. So once you found that, you will have an idea. So it's like this: whenever we ask you to do, whenever there's a requirement for you to do your dissertation and thesis, or if you're an undergraduate, you need to start with your project paper. So you will definitely don't have an idea, how do I start about this information? But of course, your institution like University of Malaysia Terengganu already have your research, the thesis writing guide. So if you go into your thesis writing guide, there's a lot of information shared in there. So you will have some kind of guide. But if you want to go into the topic itself, so you may not have some examples. So with ProQuest dissertation and thesis, you get access to that. You are able to examine the abstract, then the title of it, then you go into the introduction to see why this research was done, what was the reason for them to do this research, and finally, in this research, what are the limitations that you can take as an example to say, yes, that looks like many of these has lots of limitation. So you want to take this research to the next level. So you get an idea. And you also get idea on topic that's emerging topic. You get, you can access to the recommendation and the new trends and ideas. On top of that, it's easily discoverable. You can easily discover content through the ProQuest dissertation and thesis platform, because all the dissertation and thesis has been editorially indexed with robust indexing. in this page that I want to share with you, it's there's a lot, this dissertation and thesis. Usually the journals are very short, about 10 to 12 pages, or maybe slightly more. But most of the dissertation and thesis, it comes even come to 100 over pages. Some even goes to 200 over pages. Yeah. So why is that important? Because in that in this, because it's a detailed information, so you can also find all the how this whole methodology, the explanation of the how this research has been carried out is very well explained. So you get more information on that. On top of that, with extensive bibliography, what other what references have been used in this research that you can tap on and go in and look at it more in depth if you want to do so. So you get ideas from the bibliography as well, bibliography information as well. Okay. So this is to just to show you what is your topic. Is your topic on cancer culture? There is a dissertation on that. If your topic on pandemic and economic, there is a topic on it. If your even your topic on K-pop, also you have the dissertation example. So this to show you some of the most reached each month. Yeah, each month when does the analysis. So these are some of these topics that have been highly accessed in across the world. Okay, to start with, how do you want to review a dissertation? So it starts with your institution's dissertation. Go to your internal repository, your library's internal repository, look at the institution's, your institution's dissertations, what has been done, what are the kinds of information that you have, and so on. Then you can move on to the department level. So to see where some of the department related research. And of course, you talk to advisors. They probably have some collections of dissertation or collection of scholarly journals they already have identified that actually will give you, they will that identified dissertations and theses or scholarly journals that it will give you even more ideas because the advisors have already identified. And also talk to your peers in your subject area. So if you are example, if you want to go and do your research on your on marine biology or marine related research, or if you're doing aquatic related research, so make sure that you speak to your own peers in the subject area. So what are they doing, and this is, you can share the ideas and so on, just to review a dissertation within the subject area. For those who have done that, probably is your seniors or done it, so just go and talk to them or have a look on the research that they contributed. Sorry. This is just to share with you. So always go back to your institution's dissertation writing guide. I'm sure you have access to the UMT's dissertation and research. So in that guide, if you notice, usually the key component, the general key components of a dissertation or thesis is, it comes with the introduction, it comes with literature review, then you have methodology, then you will have the findings and results, conclusion, and references. These are the general ones. In some instances, you will come across a different components. Sometimes you will see 3 essays in one dissertation. So sometimes they probably want to publish as a manuscript. So most likely that is how it is designed. In some institution, it has been done. But I think for your UMT, I think this is your general outline of your dissertation and thesis. So if you look at it, you have introduction to say the research background, the problem statement, the objective of your research, the significance of the studies, the scope of limitations, and every other information that need to be in the introduction. So very importantly is the why is this research is being done? Is that's your research gap. You already found your research gap, and you are saying, I'm now doing this research because I found a gap in the previous researches. So this is where you emphasize that, and then along with that, then you see you can share the significance of your studies, the contribution that once you why this research, what contribution is this research in the society, in your own discipline, or in solving the wider nation's problems and so on. So you can put it your details here. And also the literature review. So this is very important. So why we have to conduct the literature review? So actually, while you're doing this, you already started your literature review. Only then you are able to find your research gap, right? So in your literature review, that is you are basically reading more and more articles or information or literatures to say that yes, I have a good knowledge on this topic, not only topics that I have identified the topics that is supporting my arguments, but I'm also looking at conflicting articles, the controversies in this research. At the same time, I'm able to provide my critical thinking, critical analysis in this review. So that is why the literature review is very important, to show how much knowledge that you have in this research topic. And of course, this is to explain. So now I'm going to do this research. How am I going to carry out this research? What methodology am I going to use? What is my what is my population, or the sample or selection of consent, the incentives, and how am I going to do the data analysis and so on. So all this will be explained in the methodology. And once you got the results, you have carried out this research, then you will have your findings. So what you will present in your findings is whatever that you have analyzed here, you interpret and present it in this part of the document, this part of the research paper or the dissertation and thesis. Then you explain how how is this study supported, whether supported or not supported, and you can explain or you can present your findings through the narrative or graphical format using tables, charts, figures, and etc. Okay, now conclusion is the part where you will realize that along the way, when you are doing your research, you have come across some limitations. Maybe your sampling is too small, the methodology or the data analysis you use could be a different way. Probably using a different analysis would have resulted in a different findings. So all that you will identify along the way, and then you will say, okay, for the future research, we recommend you to do this. Since these are my limitation, so you will recommend to that. So therefore, for you, it's very important to look at this part of the collection in your dissertation and thesis evaluation. Always look for this, suggest the further recommendation. Is very important. This is the part that you need to zoom in. And of course, you must make sure that you have all the references well cited. Why is this important? In future, if your content is being amplified, then if you have a good list of references, then your discoverable, your content can be easily discovered, as well as if you get cited also, it is important to have the accurate references. So only with accurate references, if your paper gets cited, and the citations will be accurately accumulated. Okay. All right, now let's move on. Okay, so I'm going into the examining and evaluating the existing finding. Do you have any questions so far? So when you want to examine a dissertation or even your scholarly journals, So now in this case, it's scholarly journals. Make sure that you look at the titles first. Very importantly, look at, see that is this title something is relevant to what you want to do? Look at that first. Then you will move on to look at the abstract. So learn at the age, I think if you're in even undergraduate or even postgraduate, you already know the technique of skimming through the abstract to see, okay, what is this research about, what's the objective of it, why is this research conducted, how is this, what's the methodology used, what's the finding likes. It usually will be concluded into or usually will be explained in the abstract. So if you know how to skim through, just skim through such a way very quickly, where is it, and also to go into the introduction to look at the significance of the studies and why the studies was conducted, what's the research question, of course, to see the examples of the literature review, methodology used, finding result, and most importantly, we look at the recommendation for future studies. So this is what when you want to evaluate, this is what you will evaluate. You may not be able to read the entire, but just focus on certain part as and when you need that, right? And in this platform, there is actually identifier keywords in the abstract. So you may want to explore that because you get an additional ideas, or if you want to search more, you get the keywords here. You have an examples of the keywords that you can expand your search strategies. Okay. So by doing so, by examining all this and evaluating this content, what you get to access is you're able to build on a prior research, understand what research was done well, and how to take what has been learned to the next level. So that is why you need to look. So what is for you? So when you examine or evaluate this content, so looking at good examples will help you to recognize right size research topic. So you can say, okay, maybe this research topic seems to be something that I can work on. There is a need for it. You have an idea, and you get well-formulated questions and a well-structured piece of research writing. And you do attention to the formalities like the citation use, the bibliographic, the abstract, and also the methodologies. Okay, so this you get to see or evaluate those examples from the dissertation and thesis. Okay. Now selecting and refining a topic. Okay, so define your research topic so you can explore from a very broad subject, have a broad subject in your mind, and then turn them into ideas, turn an idea or the subject, the broad subject, into a research problem. Yeah, so that's where you get an idea from dissertation and thesis by examining and evaluating the findings from the existing research. How do we define a topic? So this depends on your institution. So usually, like I said, sometimes when a topic is developed as an extension on your advisor's research, then you don't need to do the proposals and so on. So because you're already working with your advisor, the advisors will advise you accordingly how to start with. But the more complex one is when you want to identify your topic more independently. So you want to associate your research with, solving or providing some solution to the global issues. For example, climate change related issues. You want to provide some suggestion that can be used as a policy. So that is independent. So then you will have to write and present and defend a proposal. And also, of course, you're probably looking for funding, so you need to do that. So that is where you will have to identify the gap and say, why should you do this research and why is this research important for the community? Okay. Now, the next part is this is a lot more aligned with the research topic in your interest in your course that you're working on. So if you are spend like 3 to 4 years in your course, and you know that this particular subject that is interests you most, and you have done well in that particular course, particular subject, so that is where you should embark your research journey on. So that's an idea Okay, that's you got an idea. You know what you're good at, your strength, and of course that you can also good marks from there. Of course, that is the right one to go with. And also some books and articles on the same interest issues that you have worked on, and also asking researchers who publish in the area of preprint copies. So that means they have published it. It's not gone for a peer review, but they have published some information with regards to the topic that you're working on. Okay. So whatever that topic, whichever way that you want to embark your research journey, yeah. So just keep in your mind that is this topic will be relevant in coming years. Keep this big picture in your mind. And do I have passion on this topic? Do I have great interest in this subject or topic? Do I love this topic? So basically to say, are you passionate about this topic? Because you're going to work for 6 months to 1 year to 3 years, can be long. So just make sure that you have great interest in that topic. So these are some quick tips on finding your research topic. So of course you can start with examining the existing dissertation and thesis, to gain exposure on the internal perspective as well as the international perspective. So that is not only enough if you want to start your research. Of course, you need to have to find more other content. So along with finding the dissertation and thesis, you will say, even though I find like one dissertation, but using some of the citation connections and the similar dissertation features like we saw in the last session, you can expand your collections of information. On top of that, you need to also do a quick literature review from the scholarly journals so that you can see what is the academic conversation, what is the academic conversation on that, so that you can look up for more. So how you do that is you go into databases such as Web of Science, run your search and look up for a specific information, specific articles, and then look at their citation networks, who has cited it, why is it cited, all that information. So maybe you find 5 year, and then you can expand. You probably have an understanding of those information, using the citation references, citation connection, and the similar dissertation or the citation network from Web of Science. You will have a snowballing effect. So with all that, so you are able to see what researchers agree or agree on, or what is conflicting discussion. So everything that you need to know about the fundamental fact about the topic, you already get it. Yeah? So this is one quick way to start your research with. Now, just a minute. I wanted to show you the Just 1 second. I'm just looking. Okay, found it. Just to take you through this. So this is about the FRIN. FRIN is a short form of future recommendation in need. Yeah, future recommendation in need. So to how to identify that is either you identify through the abstract. Whenever you read the abstract, sometimes you will see they will talk about the limitation and the future recommendation. But if you don't find it there, then of course we talk about the recommendation for future. So this is how it is explained. And you can see what is needed to be done if you want to take this research to the next level. And of course, there are a lot of details here. So I'm not going to go through the details. So how they will explain is a study including, so this is saying that in addition that you should include this, or you say another future research option might be explored, this is how you identify it, what they are saying in the research, future research. But in the dissertation and thesis, are you able to see my screen? You're able to see my screen, right? Okay, just to make sure that everyone can see my screen. Okay, just come back to this. Okay, but if it's slightly different, if you want to find the free approach in the scholarly articles. So in scholarly articles, just focus on the abstract again, the keywords, as well as look at the conclusion. So in the conclusion, so they may not say, okay, this is future recommendation, but there is actually a paragraph saying, yes, there is a need for future research to explore, and then explain. So that is how you need to identify. So if you know how to skim through the research, if you know how to skim through the papers, then it's easy for you to find those information. So now let's move on. Of course, the references are very important. So in the last session, we have discussed about the how that when you find one articles, just find one articles, then if you find one article and how you can expand from there, right? So that is how you use the same concept here for the dissertation and thesis. That means you locate the dissertation and thesis, look at the references to expand. So look at the references, and also to look at the cited by. So you see that this dissertation somehow has been cited by 14 times in this ProQuest platform. So you want to see why they have cited this particular research on this on this topic, this students engagement and online classes. So that is a way for you to see why they have cited. Are they citing and saying, the way that I have designed my research, is it something supporting my research, or is it something that is going beyond that, or is something conflicting to what I'm saying? So with this, a bit exploring the whole, hold on a second, yeah. With exploring this, you will now get an idea, a holistic idea about this research, not only from one perspective, but you get it from the other perspectives as well. Right. So coming back to the citation connection. So if you recall how you can use the citation connection, that is using the foundational research. So if you recall that by using this dissertation and thesis, you can also find scholarly articles or scholarly journals or other journals that relevant to this topic by using the foundational research. Yeah, that means saying there's some relationship between these two research. So therefore, I need to explore and read this particular article or this research paper so that I have even more holistic understanding about this knowledge, this piece of knowledge. Okay, and also additional dissertation from here. So we have seen this in the last session. So if you want me to take you through this, let me know, because I will do a live demo later so that you are aware of how to find information, find collections of information from the citation connection. Okay. So what is citation connection? So basically from the dissertation, you expand your source to look at journal articles. Some it is in newspapers, books, this of course dissertation in the similar dissertation, or it is cited even in videos. So you get access to more wide variety of content at one go. Okay. So actually there is a question, how do I find the underpinning theory for my... Okay, this question, you still need to do a lot of research. So I think using some of the citation connection, or if you go into the Web of Science, if you go into the Web of Science, run your search, and then go to the citations connections, to look at the citing articles as well as the cited references. So, and also the related documents. Right? If you look at that, maybe you're able to find some connections between the theory that you're looking at. So maybe that's one way to go. So I think at this point, that's some advice that I can share with you. Hope that helps. Okay, the question to use both conceptual or and the theoretical frameworks in thesis, both. This depends on your institution, depends on your advisors. This need to be checked with your advisor. So because the whole dissertation in thesis, how do you want to present? It depends on your research question and the requirement needed by your institution or your department. So it's the best is to always go back to check with your advisor. Okay. Right. So I think if later on, I will probably share some examples so to see how you can use both the dissertation and thesis as well as the okay. All right. Thank you, Uma, for sharing that. Okay, and I will share the Web of Science. How do you get to there as well? Okay. Now I'm coming to this part where you can access to some of the top dissertation and thesis. Why is this considered as top? Because this has been highly accessed. So how to get to here is through the same page just now. Okay, here, this page, we were at e-learning modules. Okay, you already I already shared this link to you. If you go into this link, okay, So go to the dissertation, and if you see the dissertation news, the top 25 most accessed dissertations. So if you click on that, you get to see the dissertation that has been highly accessed in the month of June 2023. This dissertation for the thesis. Thesis means more towards the master's degree documents. So if you go into thesis, then you will find the top 23, top 25 thesis for the month of June. So to me, it's very important if you are looking at some of this, why you want to see why is this particular dissertation is been highly accessed. Some of it is old dissertations, but it's been highly accessed in the month of June, right? It's highly accessed. So you want to see in the field of counseling, or if you see field of management, education, so there's the different fields. So if it's something relevant to you, if you see that something related to your research, and if you want to explore it, you can do so. So what you have here is only for the month of, so if this is, you're looking at, so for example, I think, okay, so supply chain management, mechanical engineering. Okay, so if you come across something that relevant to you, all that you do is just click on it. Yeah, just click on it. It will take you, if your PQDT is open, ProQuest dissertation and thesis is open, it will take you back to your platform. So you can analyze it accordingly. And if you want to access to the more documents, the past documents, last month or the previous months, highly accessed, so you just go to your archive. Okay, here you go. So you have, this is for January, for the December, for the in the past month. So you want to just have a quick look and see, okay, for the January, what are the dissertations related to look at the subject, because you look at the, of course, you can see the title at the same time, look at the subject, is it relevant to you, and you can click on it and read it. So why I'm asking you to do this is, you want to see why is this dissertation and thesis is highly accessed. If it is not cited, but they are highly accessed, that means they are used, highly used. That means they have expressed some interest in that particular dissertation. Okay, so you may want to explore that as well. Okay, let me just go back here. And also there are spotlight on research. These are the award-winning dissertation and thesis, which is also in the same page that we have looked at just now. Here, back to this page, the dissertation, under the most accessed dissertation, you have the dissertation award winners. So some of this dissertation, they is not hyperlinked, so that means you don't have access, but you can click and read the abstracts if you want to. But some of it, you do have access to full access. So these are award winning. So you want to see why is this dissertations are grouped as award winning, to see the example of it. Yeah. So this is how the award-winning thesis details are here. Okay. So now the question is, look for the content gap. We already spoke about this earlier. So question that you asked to read as you read the literature on your topic. So that means you are saying that what question remain unanswered. That means it's a lack of understanding. There is always a different sets of results every time research is done. There is no same results. That doesn't yield the same results, but it's always a different result. So that means lack of understanding, some kind of controversies, and so on. So is it inadequately addressed? So yes, if it is, then you have a reason for you to start your research with. Are these unique, compelling questions? Will my advisor support? So every time that you think about something you have in your mind, always go back to the advisors. This is the best way for you to develop your research topic, or to develop your research journey. So you always go back to your advisors to ask for the support, to ask for some clarity if you have some doubts on it. And also make sure that when you want to do that research, you have all your resources, and like if you want to use the lab or the tools or the methodologies that you want to apply, make sure you have access to that before even you start research questions and so on. Okay, so I think this is the same that we have spoken about a lot earlier. Okay, I just want to get back to the ProQuest dissertation and thesis. So for those who have not attended this session, the last month's session, or you haven't explored the dissertation and thesis, so if you go into the dissertation and thesis and say, yes, I want to do some research, but my broad topic is microbiology, and I want to look at it from some specific known institutions. Like for example, in this case is Cornell. So in your case, you can either say University of Washington or or Harvard, or if you want to look at Princeton, University of Oxford. So depending on your topic, some of the institutions, they are good, they have been popular with that particular studies. So you can also do a combination like this and do your search. With that, you are also able to see within the microbiology which subjects that you are more interested in. Are you looking at genetics, or if you're looking at cellular biology and so on? This is just an example, may not be relevant to your topic. This is just an example. And for education related, you can do a search and say, give me all the 21st century skills research. And I want to see the terms that has been applied to increase to enrich my knowledge on the terms. Okay, and which institution is in top of that research doing on 21st century skills, right? And also to explore the topic on a specific, a couple of institutions. So for example, you want to look at UCL, or you want to look at Harvard universities in the subject of education technology, okay? And use of the term, the specific term machine learning, and you want to see index term used. And not only exploring the dissertation, but remember, as we talk about exploring other type of content. So for example, scholarly journals, as well as some of the trade journals or books, scholarly books, and so on. It's also equally important. Okay. Any questions so far? So we're going to go into undertaking a I'm going to go into purpose of literature review. I think most of us, when we talk about literature review, if you're already exposed, if you're a postgraduate, of course, you're already exposed to the literature review. So what literature review means is reviewing the existing literature to see what research has been done in the past and what is the knowledge that has been discovered, all that, right? It's just that is why we call that as a literature review. But for those who are new, you may be like, you may have some concerns. Okay, literature review, how do I start about? What is it all about? You may have questions, but literature review is just reviewing the literatures, especially literature such as scholarly journals, reviewing dissertation and theses, reviewing scholarly books, or reviewing any other scholarly literatures. It's considered as a literature review. And why you must do the literature review? That is, if without doing a literature review, you are not able to have holistic understanding about the research. You will not increase your breadth of knowledge in your research. So by doing literature review, you basically increase your breadth of knowledge in the area of your research. You know ins and outs about your research paper. And not only that, it will allow you to avoid you to reinventing the same, the content or the research that has been discovered in the past. And of course, it also helps you to identify the gaps in the current knowledge, the seminal works in your areas, and provide, to identify the controversials, to identify the contradicting viewpoints and so on. So that is why it's very, very important to do the literature review. So, but when you do the literature review, how do you want to present it? Yeah? So if you want to present it, there are a couple of ways. There's some tips, tips if you want to do a review. So it's like avoid being too descriptive. So most of the time, I think if you speak to your lecturers or if you speak to your advisors, so this is what you will probably get, so not to be like, okay, this, I have read this article, so this person has said this, just like describing what they have said. Just by just describing that, it will not make any important points. It doesn't, that doesn't imply anything into the research. So they say be clear, deliver in, be more argumentative. So, and also be critical. So be critical means is you may want to acknowledge whatever that the controversial or the contradicting or the limitation, but also you counter it or defend it with your own argument using terms like, although it's been said like that, however, you also have your points to defend it. So using such words like however, nevertheless, on the other hand, in contrast, and so on. And in some instances, you probably have reviewed the literature, 3 or 4 literatures, but they are still talking, they have the same points. So how do you want to summarize the literatures from the various points? So you can use, you don't want to say, okay, this literature say the same thing, and then the other literature says the same thing. You don't want to repeat. So how do you summarize it? So you can say several studies have, or other studies have, and so on. So you can always use those kind of terms, or the way of writing to express or summarize the various sources in one. If you have one study which is more seminal, groundbreaking, influential study, so you can say, he or she explains, criticizes, and so on. So you say, you have more detail, you already expressed one, and then you say further they explain on this, right? And the pattern, so to avoid, this is very important. Every time if you look at the literature review, you will see that you can do it two ways. The most important one is the narrative citation. So what is narrative citation? Is the author focus. That means you highlight and show, say this author has highlighted, show, or indicates, and so on. The other one is parenthetical citation. That means you focus on the topic first. You discuss about the topic first, then only you say this is by whom. Okay, so there are 2 types. You can use interchangeably, or if you want to use emphasizing on the investigation on the time, you can use, in the last 5 years, more recently, current studies, and so on. So this is to avoid being the same way of writing. So you have some variations. And the linking part is very important. How do you want to create a story? So if you want to create the story, this is what I was saying. You need to write the paper earlier so that you have a connection. Otherwise, it may not have the logical connection, logical flow. So you may need to use some of this use of these terms, although, however, furthermore, or to have the connection between the sentence, connection between the paragraph, connection between the sections, and so on. Okay, so just a writing, just a tips. It may be have more other tips, but it's whatever that I'm sharing with you, little tips. And also we have covered this in the last session, conducting effective and efficient research, and perform a targeted database search, and identify the research strategies for graduate work. So this we have put in the last session. So I just want so the deep dive basically is exploring the references, the cited by, and the related items as well as the citation connection. Okay. Other than that, when you are doing your research, if you already have enough materials and if you do not want to go back spending time, it's a lot of time when you want to find for information, yeah. So especially when you do not apply the right techniques, use all these tools such as the create alert or the create RSS feed. So when you use the alerts, that means you already designed the search accordingly and said, I want the system to run the search as I have designed. And if they found any new articles, new scholarly journals, new dissertation, you want to be prompted, you want to be alerted in the email. So that is one way how you can, don't come back and start searching, but you get alerted from the alert itself. Or if you are a person who always want to monitor what is happening in this research area, you want to use the RSS feed, the extension from the Chrome RSS extension, and enable the RSS feed from this platform, from the My Research folder. You are able to stay updated with the topic. So for example, here, so I have enabled my RSS feed, and I said whatever the research I have on ProQuest, I want to follow up. So for example, these are all my search that I have done, and I want to see if there's any new research on this particular area. So for example, let's see. So you can click on it and you read it. So that is one way how you can use the RSS feed, use the alert function to stay updated with the development of your research. Okay. So we're going to move into the writing part. Writing part is not so much. It's just sharing some of the pitfalls and how to avoid, when it comes to writing. Any questions so far? Okay, I don't see question. Let's move on. Okay, so we talk about, to start your writing, like I said, you need to you can use some of the tools, inbuilt tools in this platform. So there is a research folder. So this research folder allows you to keep the documents that you want to do assessment or you want to evaluate further. So you can put all your documents in this folder. You can put all your searches that you have done in this, you can save them here so that you can come back and rerun your searches. You can create alert as well as RSS feed, where we spoke about RSS feed earlier. So this is where you can customize it accordingly. And use of RefWorks to manage references. So in your case, you may use a different citation management system, but using a citation management system is a must, especially for those who are doing extensive research. If you want to do references automatically, or if you want to do a quick in-text citations, but without having citation management system or any specific reference management system, it will going to be very messy. So make sure that you already import all your articles, your information that you want to apply in your research, where you want to cite in your research. Make sure it's all available in your citation management system. So learn how to import to citation management system, export from the databases to your citation management system, organize it into a folder, and how do you want to use some of the tools that you can embed into your Word document, and just insert the citation. Just learn to do all that, whether you're using RefWorks, EndNote, Mendeley, Zotero, or Citevi, or any citation management system. Learn to do that because it's very important. You can't afford to do manual citations at this stage, right? There are a lot of tools available, so make use of the tools. developing a productive writing plan. So for those who want to start your research journey, make sure that you have a writing. Most of us will feel, why should I need a writing plan? I know what I'm doing. But no, it's very, very important, because that will tell you how much time that you have. Let's say you have to submit your paper by next month, June. So they just work backwards and say what you need to do. So in that inclusion, make sure that that is why starting the zero draft is very important. If you don't start, then all this will get delayed. So with having the zero draft, at least you have some kind of outline here, and you can follow the outline accordingly. And very importantly, remember to include, when you bring your paper to your advisors or to your supervisor, there will always some revision to be done. So not necessarily it's going to be like a linear graph. It's definitely going to have lots of revisions and so on. So when you come to the revision, make sure you have included enough time when you plan your writing plan. Make sure you have included that into your writing plan. So this is, again, we spoke about this in the early of this session. Yeah, zero draft, it's it's not for anyone to see, it's for yourself. So just continue writing so that you get the flow continued. Without that, you cannot see the gap, right? So just have to start writing in the very early stage. Do not wait. Okay, and get the outline. So why outline is very important? So that this is where you just go back to your institution's writing dissertation thesis writing guide and make sure that what is the guideline or the outline has been recommended. So follow the outline accordingly. Okay, and of course, so when you plan, so you need to make a commitment. Yeah, you need to make. And if you say, yeah, I'm setting up 90 days, 90 minutes, sorry, not 90 days, 90 minutes for each day to write and so on. So you just set some kind of plans and goals accordingly. And very importantly, to put this information into your Outlook calendar, or the calendar, your calendar that you work on, either is your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar, so that you already block the time, you already plan it. So with having that plan, so you will know, okay, now it's time for me to work on this chapter 1, chapter 1.2 and something like that. You already have planned accordingly. So this is just basically set a goals based on the deadline. So if you say in this week I must write chapter 3, so even it's a terrible draft of a chapter 3, intro draft of chapter 3 is fine, but you know that you need to complete it by this week. So that is how it's just setting a goals basically. So again, this is the important that I want to stress, just don't stop. It's very easy to say, but when it comes to writing, only you will know. Sometimes lots of challenges and obstacles around that. It may not allow us to go ahead with the writing, but whatever it is, just keep in your mind, just don't stop writing. Okay. Some of these strategies, all this information, if you go through the tutorial, the bootcamp tutorial, you will come across that. So perfectionist tendencies, everybody wants to be very perfect. You want to have a perfect draft before seeing your lecturer, before seeing your supervisor. So if you wait for the perfect draft, it definitely will going to drag your time. It's going to be, so because you correct here, then you'll find the gap there, and then you correct here, you will find the gap. So you always don't wait until you have the tendency, to have the perfect, because you can revise it later. So you can do that. So don't too much spend time to be the perfectionist, and can't stick to the schedule. So why? Most likely, sometimes we plan our work when we do not have most energy. Sometimes some of you probably doing part-time, or even you have some other things to do. So if you plan it, if you know your productivity is in the morning, so you plan your schedule to be, all your work to read the papers or to synthesize the papers in the morning itself, so that you spend most of your good energy during that time. And dealing with advisor, so discuss the expectation with your advisor, make a plan for communicating, progressing, you're submitting your draft. These are all as usual. That's a straightforward thing. And very common and good communication with advisor will help you to move further. And so again, this is again, we spoke about non-stop writing, right? So to stay motivated, you need to find a group of team of people who will help you to be accountable to, the writing partners, to say, okay, this is my writing I've done so far. You want to read it and give me some ideas, or give you motivated, stay motivated among this during this journey of your research, especially if you are new to this research journey. Okay? And the next of it is very straightforward. Just accept and go in when you meet your supervisor. So if there is a need for you to make changes, make sure that your content or the revision is done accordingly. Or in some instances, because you have read so many literatures, you can also present your counter arguments. If you think that change is not necessary, because you have done so much of work, so much of knowledge you have, you can do the counter arguments. But if you don't do that, you definitely have to follow, this one way, receiving it from one way, instead of you have your own arguments. This is standard. I think most of you, avoiding plagiarism. That means you need to, whatever that inside citation or whatever references you have used, make sure that you acknowledge the work of the others. As you know, now there's a lot of tools for you to do, to work on your, writing, the writing styles and so on. So just check with your institution if any of these tools are acceptable. So if it is acceptable, then you can use some of those tools. But otherwise, it's always good to put it in your own words and develop your own writing styles. Okay. So acknowledge the source, the bibliography, the referencing is all important. I won't go into this detail because these are all has been known to most of you. Yeah. And also be aware of the plagiarism similarity reports, whether how much percentage has been allowed in your institution, in your department. Yeah. So just be aware of that. And very importantly, to follow the institutional guidelines. So if you go into your institution's guidelines, so you will know what citation style to use, what style guide to use, what is the outline of your dissertation and thesis, all that you will find in your institution's guideline. Lastly, publishing your thesis. Once you have completed, of course, you can publish it. Usually this will be done by your library or for your department, your institution's department, or you need to publish it in your institutional repository. Or if you want to get published in the PQDT, means there should be partnership from your institution and PQDT, allow this to be published and to disseminate and apply to the and if you want to publish it in journal article or even for the books, just you need to follow some of these tips to, for example, modify the introduction, tighten the method section, limit the number of references, shorten the length of theses, and many more, some of these quick tips. Now we have come to the last part of the session. So what we have done so far, we have evaluated some best practices for finding the topics for your research. We know we are identified and avoid some pitfalls of dissertation writing. We have seen some of the ProQuest features and functionalities and the content supporting your academic writing journey, and assess the option for publishing thesis and amplifying your research. So we have done, so this is what we have done. So for if you have any other question, just feel free to share with me. I just want to if you have time, just want to share with you this part here. Okay, I want to focus on the ProQuest dissertation and thesis. Okay, I'm just taking this topic to search. So why I'm doing this is to just to show you how you can use, these are all the collections of dissertation and theses. So if you select citation connection, so you get to see if this dissertation has been cited subsequently, or if you want to see the references specifically, zoom into the references, right? You just do this, like the citation connection. Okay, so you see this is, you have 55 references. This is cited one time in ProQuest. So if you want to see this particular one, these 3 essays on customer satisfaction, just go into why has this been cited. So this is where I was saying you want to explore each of this document to see why they have cited. If they have cited it according to what you what you intend to write, or is something different, right? Then you will know there are others have a different views on that particular topic. And the references that you can explore instead of just having this dissertation, but you also get explore access to the other sources of information. Okay, and on your right here, okay, there's foundational research. So foundational research is a recommendation for other scholarly journals, or maybe could be books, could be newspapers and other literatures there which has shared the references. At least 5 of the references from here has been applied here. So therefore they see some relationship between this dissertation and this foundational research from scholarly journals. Then these particular journals also been cited so many times, so why not you want to have a quick look on that. So this is how you expand your literatures, yeah, to add to your list of your literatures in your list. And also the uh, similar similar dissertations. Okay, the similar dissertation. So there are 25% similarity. So it's like, why not you also want to read this dissertation before looking at other materials. So instead of you searching so many times, you use some of these network connections using the shared references, foundational research, similar dissertation, to expand to see if you can find some kind of relationship in that research. Okay, so that is one way. If you are looking for articles in scholarly journals, go into the Web of Science, right? Find 1 or 2 articles, zoom into the articles. On your right, you will see some citation connection, the citing articles, the cited references, as well as the related documents. So you will also see some connection between those articles. Okay, so with having good 10 articles, or at least 5 articles from scholarly journals, 5 dissertation, you can then develop your list of content or list of sources subsequently. Okay, now any other questions that you have here? If you don't have, we can end our session. If you have any questions, let me know. I can wait for a few more minutes if you want to. Okay, so it seems look like there's no question. Just fill in the forms. Yeah, Pon Sharifah have shared the link in the chat box. So make sure that you have filled in for the attendance. Yeah. Okay, I think this question, I'm not the right person to answer this question. Maybe you can check with your advisors or the supervisor that you work with. Muhammad Adil, can a theoretical framework or model proposed in research paper can be used as a substitute for a theory? Okay, so I may not be able to answer that question. So just feel free to ask your advisor. I think they would be a better person to give the advice. Okay, so if there's no question, I will now hand it over to Puan Sharifah. I think we can end the session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Karanji, for sharing some insights on dissertation writing. Hope all the attendees get benefit from the session, and thank you for your participation, and see you again. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you and have a great day. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Ms. Karanji.
Bye.